down.
All right.
Oh, we're back.
Okay, salam alaikum, peace. We are back.
Assalamu alaikum. It's Coach Fatima and
Coach Naima. And
we have some questions.
there is on his way because we questions. And
We're going to
we have
answer
some questions. We're going to answer questions and we're going to answer
to the best of our ability.
Peace. All right, now we just finished up filming day 2 for our Marital Communications Mastery course. And naturally, we want to go ahead and answer some of the questions that we received. Some people have emailed us. And if you have a question, maybe you're watching this later, okay, and you weren't available at the time, but you can feel free to email us at support@outstandingmuslimparents.com or post a comment under this video. We do read all the comments and we try to address as much as we can. So feel free through any of the venues to do so. And we're going to try to do this in a timely fashion because we have some deep questions. Some good stuff. So with that being said, let's continue.
Let's do this thing.
Question number 1.
Okay, so the question is, and I'm assuming this is directed to Fatima because it says, how did you handle news that your husband wanted to marry again or married again and you didn't know?
Oh, I wasn't my best self. But what I will say is that for me being Muslim, I had to think about what is permissible for him to do and what is not. And then I also thought about what really helped me a lot was that I thought about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him, and what were his practices. And then I figured out that my husband's practice was not outside of that. And that made me feel better because I said, now, if he's doing something that's not lawful for him, then he got to go. But if he's sticking to Islam, and when I studied that, I don't have to know every single aspect of everything. And that doesn't mean it is unlawful because I don't know something. Then I felt better. But if you have it in your mind that you have to know everything, then you cause an inner destruction to yourself, and then thing just branches out. And then I had a lot of people around me that didn't want to see my marriage succeed, and they still don't. So I still have those naysayers that go, they could see them one time in 9 years and go, "Are you divorced?" I'm like, what just happened? So if they see me with my brother, my biological brother, and I'm not with Nadir, did you get divorced? Because you don't know my brother. You don't know who this woman is with Nadir. See, it's so much of that assumption that caused some violence in my mind and people questioning my status that caused violence in my mind. Because if they're questioning my status, it's not their problem. In my mind, it wasn't their problem, it was his. But he don't know they saw him. He don't know who they are, where they came. It might have been somebody from 20 years ago in high school, and here they come. Or no, it was longer than that, wasn't it? 28 years. And here they coming for my neck in 2011. I'm like, you ain't cared about me this whole time. But now that you see a shift, here you go. So I found out that I have to sit in someone else's decision, and sometimes that's not easy. It's usually not, because you don't control. And because I couldn't control something, and I had to sit in the decision of God and the decision of Nadir, then I was like, no, this just got real, and I don't like it. So, but when I found out the decision is all Allah's decisions, then I felt better, because I can't do nothing with that. But be better, but make myself better.
And it was a process. Now,
right.
I know that best practices speaking, that I didn't go about it the best way, meaning that I did not have a discussion prior to. I wasn't pursuing necessarily looking for, but best practice is to try to discuss it beforehand. I mean, Some people say, well, you should state it when you first go into marriage. I was 19 years old when I first got married. I wasn't thinking about polygyny. I was thinking about trying to practice my deen properly, be a better Muslim, make sure I have a marriage, not be my parents or a lot of people with failed issues and challenges. Right. I was thinking about that. I wasn't thinking about another wife. Okay. not till many years after being married. It was not even really a thought. I knew that it was allowed, but really didn't necessarily have interest like that. So I actually got married first and didn't let her know for some time. So that was not the best. I'll take my responsibility with that, because I could have done it much better as well and respected her feelings better as well. So I do understand,
but I
I
would say
have to be
this.
transparent on that. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, it
But-
was just great.
I want to say this though, not to cut you off. A friend of mine told me something. This is powerful. They said, "But Fatima, were you the kind of wife he could tell? Like, what would your reaction have been?" And my grandma added something. She said, "And if you fussing and cussing and being mad was gonna change it, I could see you doing that. But if it ain't gonna change it, then you can't do all that then. Because isn't it allowed in your religion?" See, she hit me with that one. I'm like, well, yeah, but I still don't like it. But that's facts. Was that a person? Now, I still should have been sad, but I'm also taking my part in it. He could have said it any kind of way. And it still, you still hit those soft spots. So,
Indeed. So
that was a
there will
read
be
from my
challenges.
friend.
I mean, it will definitely be challenges. We're human. Nobody's perfect. Last perfect person walked the earth has been over 1,400 years ago.
Okay, I want to say something because it's not directed to me at all, but I am going to say something because I was like collateral damage in it.
Yeah, a lot of people got it.
And the reason why I say that I was collateral damage in it because other people saw it as a way to cause harm to my sister and try to break up a marriage, and it made it seem like I was that person that was doing
Dark.
it, and I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
So I was put in the middle. I was put in the middle of it, like I was the cause, or I was the issue, or I was the problem. And we're not perfect, we're not human. And I know some people I've seen a number of questions, and I'm actually going to address that because it fits in right here. Well, if you're coming into a marriage, wouldn't you encourage him to talk to his wife or say this or whatever?
Yeah.
The relationship he has with his wife is the relationship he has with his wife. The relationship that he has with me as his wife is the relationship he has with me as his wife. That's not my business to go in there and say,
No.
well, you should talk to her about this. You should let her know about this. I don't know about my mentality at that time, and my mentality still is that my goal was to be married to my husband. My goal was to be married and brought into a family that I saw benefit in. And I didn't know any type of excess drama or anything like that until after the fact. So I wanted to address that question that I've seen on a number of occasions too, that fits in where it's like, well, you coming into this, wouldn't you encourage this and that and the other?
You can't make
They're
anybody do
grown.
anything. But even if you had encouraged it, he could have stopped talking like he ain't here, but he could have said no and did it his own way.
They're grown.
So
Like I said, when
that
I was
wasn't your
young,
job. We
we're
stay in our
adults.
lanes over here. So
So good question,
glad
because I
they
know
answered
people,
it.
question.
They thought
and
we
it takes
feared
time. It does take time. So, again,
It
we're
does.
here after 9 years, discussing with you where we are now in a comfortable place. So it takes time and it takes patience. But one of the benefits of understanding your wives is that and I'm a Muslim, obviously, we practice Islam. So I know that they take Islam seriously. And in taking Islam seriously, I know that eventually your iman, your belief, your
Yeah.
faith is going to help you with that as well,
Yeah.
or it should.
So true.
Otherwise, you're putting me above any station I deserve at
Yeah,
all, anywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I knew that we'll be able to get through the challenges, we'll be able to get through the struggles and everything else if I'm patient with it, if I'm more understanding with it, if I'm guiding, willing to grow with it, if I just let stuff roll off my back on certain things and other stuff put a hold on, so I had to navigate in there, but I knew that Fatima was going to be able to see, because of her personality, for the same reasons I married her, I knew that we would continue to have a strong marriage, even if it was far from the point that I thought was ideal. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I could have helped speed it up where it's not after 9 years of talking about it, but I'm learning, we're all learning in the process. So, but we're at a good space where we know what we've done, we deconstructed, we re-engineered, and we've grown together to really be able to share, because in actuality, we're very private people. We're not, oh, let's get on live, and nope. I see people on live 2 or 3 times a day. I'm not that guy. You check my Facebook profile out. You're not gonna see no family pictures. You might see me and my sons, or you might see some stuff now we're doing without saying a personal relationship, but we're private people. But we know that there's a lot of pain out there. There's suffering going on out there. There's people that are looking for things. And if we have a little bit of a solution that is shown to work for people that we've already coached, that we work with personally as clients, that get, request us for information in hard situations that need to be diffused sometimes, then we know that there are more people that can benefit. And who are we to hold back on that? So that's crucial.
Like a polygynous transformer.
All right.
Like
So going to the another question is, how do you get a spouse to communicate with you who doesn't communicate?
Oh, wow. That's deep.
See, I'm different. I'll make you talk to me. I aggravate people sometimes, but all jokes aside, I would think that you have to know your spouse and how they like to communicate in general.
Their communication style.
Yeah, what is their communication style?
Right.
I
look at it, and you can't make a person do something that that they don't want to do. They will either do it. They're going to do it because of one or two reasons, that they want to do it, or they're going to do it reluctantly. What is the term I heard? It's like a man convinced against his will of the same opinion still. Mm-hmm. They'll probably do it under coercion or anything like that, but they still feel a certain way. And that can, trying to force somebody to do something that they don't want to do, can cause some trust issues, can cause some people to break down, to not want to talk anymore, or not want to tell you about, specific things that you may need to know about, because you may react or respond or anything like that. Because sometimes you have to take patience. Mm-hmm. It takes patience, mm-hmm. and it takes knowing one's communication style.
Also, I think to add to that, I'll ask them a question. What has communication looked like before? Does your spouse feel safe communicating with you? Or have you had this reaction where you about to pull a lamp off a table and swing it at him? Or have you cursed? Have you been disrespectful in the past to the point where he don't want to talk to you now?
Right.
Is it that? Because if it's that sounds like he just shut down completely. In my opinion, I know men enough to know.
And that
my grandpa said, a man ain't talking, he's thinking like HELL.
And you may not, and
that's true.
And you may not even get them to come back from that. You know what I'm saying? You may, or you may not. And if you do, it'll take a while.
I'm gonna speak on this because the sister asked the question. Yeah. And obviously, if you marry someone, then you didn't marry a mute. All right. So it got to that point. Like Fatima just mentioned, what happened? How to get there? Okay, because we need to sometimes go back. It's not about a person communicating back with me. All right. The reason I say that is because what if I've already violated them and they felt betrayed, or they attempted to communicate with me, but I shut them down. Mm-hmm. I insulted them. Mm-hmm. I talked crazy to them. So now how much trust and solid ground did I lose in that process? Yeah. But now I want to get it back just because I want to communicate what I want on that person. Mm-hmm. Could that be the case? I don't know. Again, it's just a general question. But I'm assuming that when you got married, you didn't marry a mute. You married somebody that saw something in you, you saw something in them. The situation worked out. Now you're married, whether in polygyny or not, you still have to communicate with this person. You communicate. All right. The fact of not vocally communicating is still a part of communication. Right. That's what we're talking about with this entire course. Right. So you're communicating when you raise an eyebrow. You're communicating by rolling your eyes. You're communicating by the tone of your voice, right, or the lack of. You're communicating with a smile or a smirk. So you are communicating, and the other person, the husband in this case, is communicating. The question is whether or not the person feels comfortable in communicating with you. Is it safe? Have you violated that person? Have you ever talked to a teacher in school that just had it in for you, just didn't like something about you? It doesn't matter if it's your race, your background, your religion, just don't like you. You turn this stuff in, try to get stuff done and be cool and calm. And how long is it going to take you to trust this teacher? Or are you just going to try to do what you need to do to get out that class? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a little different when it comes to a spouse because you're forced to pretty much be with them to see them constantly. Whereas a teacher, you can just skip the class, drop the class, or whatever. So
Yeah.
again, we have to be adults, and adults are smart. They grow up. And what I mean is, if you have a slick tongue or you talking crazy to somebody, right? You have control because you know what? You probably don't do that to your mother. You probably don't do that to your father if they're living. You likely won't do that to your grandmother. All right, if you did, you wouldn't even be listening to this course right now. You likely won't do it to a boss or manager or supervisor on a job. But then when you come home and you lose that self-control and discipline for someone that you love, someone that's there with you, someone that you look intimately and everything else, but then you fire off all the bullets, pop, 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 like that's an enemy, guess what? It's not easy to come back from that. And as a man, all right, if I'm a man and a woman is talking to me like that, I don't allow, in my life, I haven't allowed people to talk to me crazy. I don't come from that type of background where that's cool. That's not attractive, okay? Nor do I stay around something like that. The people that can talk to me crazy, my parents, they haven't done that in decades. My mother, he passed, over a decade ago. And my mother can talk crazy. She doesn't do that. My grandpa, somebody or whatever, they don't do that. So that whole energy of getting negativity from someone, and again, this is if that's going on. If you didn't have any negativity, there could be other issues going on as well. So then it's the question. One, I would suggest if you have done that in the past, the solution would be to, one, ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
Whether you're wrong or not, apologize. Apologize for maybe not getting something across. That means there's some type of growth. Because if you want to come into something, you ain't apologize, you still just trying to, okay, that scar is still there.
Yes.
Wide open. That sore is still there.
And every time they see you,
it's there. So one, apologize. Number two, grow up. Grow up. Practice that same discipline as though you have something to lose, because you do. It's called love. It's called trust. It's called respectability.
you lose your partner.
You lose
altogether.
all of this stuff, and even potentially your marriage, you start drifting and separating because you planted this seed of disrespect or something like that, if that's the case. So try to rectify that by planting some goodness, by seeking rectification, seeking an apology, and just doing that. Or try a different method. Some people don't like to talk. I don't like to talk. I'm talking to you now because I'm teaching you. But I don't like to.
We do.
My eyes go in the back of my head. It's over. I'm there for a few minutes and then it's done. It's a lot for me. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's an email. Maybe it's a letter. Maybe it's a little note. Figure out which ways you can go ahead and communicate. Try different ways to do so. All right. So if it concerns you, it doesn't have to just be your way or no way. All right. Find the middle ground in there somewhere. But the first thing to do is make sure you don't betray it. And if you have betrayed it, seek an apology to try to get back on neutral ground and show effort over time. Don't do the little weak apologies. Oh, I'm sorry, Papa John's folks. Oh, I'm sorry for the racist comment, blah, blah, blah. And everybody knows it's sincere. Because the attitude and the actions must follow up and be congruent with that as an adult. We wouldn't expect the type of behavior from our children. Oh, go say sorry. Then they go right back to doing the same thing. So I get it. That's a very important topic. And it goes to kind of the core of what we're doing with transformation and coming to being able to communicate effectively well in order to get some type of positive results in one of your most intimate relationships ever, that being your marriage.
Right.
I love it.
I'm going to comment on the same thing, but a little different, because I get that part when it's something that's negative. If you've possibly done something or is disrespectful or find out what you did or anything like that, because I'm a firm believer of taking responsibility for your part, regardless of whether it was your fault or not or anything like that. But I'm going to, from one of my examples is something that happened to me, which a previous marriage, I couldn't get my ex-husband to communicate with me when, no matter what, I could not. I left notes, I left emails, I did all of that stuff. We need to talk. Okay, I was like, well, let me send an email. Let me send a text. Let me put the note on his food. Let me whatever. And there was these things. And after a while, I realized there was no growth. And we talk about that, like, when do you know if it's the time to go or whatever the case may be. There was no growth. I'm a person that communication is a high core value of mine. Because if I can't communicate with you, I tend to not trust you after a while. And if I can't trust you, I stop respecting you.
Exactly.
That's kind of how it goes with me. And I'm like, it's time to call it. It's time to go. Not saying that's always the case. That's how it happened with me, and that's what I do because I tried every form. Right, I tried every form of communication. You cannot make a person do something they don't want to do. That's when you have to figure out, have I done all that I can do? Did I do that stuff? And since I did that stuff, now what? Does this person not want to be with me? Are we going to grow together? You got to figure out what you need to do in that aspect.
Yes.
You find out if communication is possible between you two, proper communication, effective communication. And if it's not, then you have to figure out your next steps from there.
Okay, good stuff. Good answer. All right. Next question is, when do you know you're ready for polygyny as a man?
I think that
Anybody?
I'm not a man, but I think that's an individual basis. So it could change from man to man to man. So I have two friends. One begged for polygyny, for her husband to do it. And he was like, no, I don't want the responsibility. And the other one said, I wish my husband would, so I could laugh at him because he's not consistent. He won't make it. But I was like, you know what? Everybody's different. They like to compare the men in that way, but I'm not a man, but I just know what they said about theirs.
I know why that was
all right. So since this question is directed towards me, but I mean, it's truth in it, what she said, because it's different from person to person. Okay. Some people feel that, I'm a man and I just have a high sex drive, so therefore I'm ready. Nah, not really, dude. That's actually a sign of immaturity. Sadly, sometimes people feel that way. But how do you know you're really ready as a man? Well, I told a young brother, he asked a similar question. And I was like, well, first, I was not even actively just out pursuing polygyny. I wasn't taking applications. I ain't had no open sign, none of that stuff, right? But I believe that there comes a time where in polygyny, you have to become more than twice the man you already are anyway, because there are a lot more demands on you. If you want to do it right, if you want to succeed, if you want to win. All right. Again, we're not talking to those who are abusers, those who prey on people and not pray for people. Okay. We're talking, if you really want to do it right, meaning that you have to be committed to you have to be committed to growth, ongoing, nonstop, constant improvement. Okay. So whether that's dealing in communication, understanding your emotions, knowing how to connect with things, taking advantage of different financial opportunities, there's a significant part attached to your manhood. All right. And growth and what's expected of you as a man in society. So you'll know when you're ready. Nobody's going to come and say, I think you're ready. Mm-hmm. No. There are people that I know have more than enough money. All right. More than enough money. All right. And that should be practicing polygyny. They should be. They're mentally there. They should be. But for several reasons, usually outside influence, they don't. They should be. And there's other people I know with money that there's no way they should be at all. Right. Oh, they should no way should be married, period. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's a destructive thing. And even though money is neutral, money is just one of the measurements. Okay. So, and it doesn't matter. I mean, for us in our circumstances, I'm not rich financially. Not rich financially yet.
I was gonna say yet.
Nevertheless, not rich financially, but other areas, extra rich. Definitely grateful, definitely fulfilled. However, with that being said, I'm not gonna have, I didn't want to have, nor did they. We're not staying, people say, there's questions like, there's another question. Do you guys live in the same house? No, we don't. No, two separate houses, close in proximity. Women can run their own houses and do the thing and stuff like that. So, but as a man, you have to be able to make the ultimate decision. You have to make that executive decision. You take counsel from your family, take counsel from your wives, but you have to go ahead and make sure stuff is in line where, you're going in the same direction as it goes. So knowing that, you're ready for polygyny when you can deal with those tough things. Mm-hmm. And as Shadi talks about, being able to stand in your discomfort.
Yeah.
And I've had to do it, and I had to learn it, and will like continue to do it throughout life, but not the same errors and mistakes that I made before, because committed to growth. You have to learn from these different things. So that would be my answer with that. We have another question. What tips do you have for someone who has a problem with their tongue when angry?
Yikes. You want to take that one first?
Be quiet. No, seriously. No, be quiet. No, seriously. Sometimes we have to take a step back, and I'm saying that, but I'm actually being very for real. And the reason why I said it like that, because I do that too to myself. With myself, I'm like, shut up right now, because I may want to say something, and you can't take that stuff back. That's like shooting somebody and putting a Band-Aid on the bullet wound. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No. Sometimes if you have this forked tongue and you're really slick with it, it's like, have you thought about does the love and respect and support and anything that you have for that person go out the window? Because I would think there's something you would say or you would do to somebody you don't care about. This is a person that you are committed to, somebody that you love, somebody that you care for. And I know we have our emotions, and sometimes we can be in a position, and it could be some past stuff that could have caused some trauma and drama in our lives, something could have triggered that. Sometimes you just gotta say,
is it worth it?
Let me shut up.
Yeah.
We can talk about this later when cooler heads prevail and things like that. I want to say it's easier said than done, but if you are, and I was just talking to my children about it today, I said, it's not a lot of times when you're being disrespectful on purpose, but you're being disrespectful because of your lack of thinking about the other person.
Yeah.
You're just only thinking about yourself and how you feel at this time, anything like that. And then the disrespect comes out because you're not looking at the other person. When you tend to shut up, take a step back and think of what would I say that is going to be, what I say yesterday, for the greater good, what is going to be for the greater good, what is going to be positive. If I'm not going to say anything positive right now, then we need to revisit this. We need to revisit this. Mm-hmm. And you know when it's going to come, because you can feel it. It don't just blurt out. You don't just blurt out stuff. You can feel the heat building. I know that from when I get angry, my face get hot, my chest get tight. There are things that happen physically to you before that comes out. If you feel that, you need to take a step back. This is a person you're committed to. This is a person that you said, I love and I want to build with.
I make wudu. If I'm mad and I come out of that bathroom, or make an ablution that we make before we offer our prayer, I know that, and I'll have the water cold, and I throw it on my face, arms, head, feet, everything, and then I go pray, because if it depends, it's levels to rage and anger and different things. But if I'm angry, let's say I'm upset with my children, I'll tell them, you're not safe from my tongue right now. And if you're not careful, you might not be safe from my hand. But, and that's rare, but I give them a warning. I'm not in the best place right now. Right. And then I need to go offer prayer. It's a good thing. You can tell somebody, I need to go pray. I need to go meditate. And they'll get the idea that you're upset, but I'll go make wudu in a minute. Just let me go over here and pray. I had to come in from the store and make wudu and go pray because I had a rough day that day. And I stayed in there I stayed sitting just quietly for like 45 minutes instead of going, because that wasn't going to benefit anybody. And I did feel better after doing that. So,
Well, I mean, Islam, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may peace and blessings upon him, stated three things. One, there are three different ways to do. One, obviously, is to make wudu, to put that water out, to put that the shaitan or that fire out that's running through your blood. Another is, if you're standing up, sit down. Change your physiology. Standing up, sit down. If you're sitting down, lay down. It's kind of hard to argue laying down. All right, so it's being aware of yourself. And we just kind of talked about it when, if you're not going to just, if you lack self-discipline, then you just reckless at the mouth anyway with anyone. If you're not reckless in any way with anyone, that means you actually have some self-control. So to exhibit it more to those whom you love versus those who you don't.
Right.
And if you actually prioritize your relationships like that, you'll be much more fulfilled. It doesn't matter to me what a stranger would think of me versus my wives.
Yeah.
Okay. So sometimes we're more, oh, I'm so sorry that my child got in your way, or da da da. Excuse me, we're so polite to strangers. Okay. But then those who we love, get out of here, go do such a, I mean, come on, let's do better. So again, going back to what I said last time, gotta grow up. Now, this goes into, there's another question that says, from a man's perspective, what's the best way to be spoken to? I would say very clearly, respectfully.
Yeah.
Respectfully.
Yeah.
If you're doing something in a respectful and loving fashion, we could talk about anything. It may be difficult. There may be tears with it, might be hugs with it, it may be some drama, but you know what? Respectfully. And it goes to what reminds me of what Coach Fatten talked about yesterday with the scene with Malcolm X and Betty Shabazz in the movie with Denzel Washington and Angela Bassett, when she knew he was being betrayed and he didn't want to believe it. He felt it, he knew it, but she knew he was being betrayed.
Yeah.
And the way she really brought it to him and under the circumstances and the pressure and the stress and all that just took it to a whole nother level, because the compassion, the love, the concern, the caring, all of that was included, in that scene, for example. All right. So the best way, in a loving and respectful manner, whether the person is wrong or not. All right. That's the best way to advise someone, because your tonality matters. What you say matters. And it does matter to them whether they express it or show it or not. But if you want it to be received well, understand that person's core values, and a part of their core values will include respect, and especially coming from whoever, especially coming from a significant other. So prayerfully that helps. You have anything else?
Just to say that it's possible. I know that people say, okay, yeah, that sounds good. Theoretically, it sounds good to, for a man to want to be spoken to, lovingly and respectfully. But what if he's not speaking to me respectfully? Yeah. So what? I'm gonna tell you that right now. Sometimes, once again, I told you guys what my motto is: for the greater good, because everything it's not going to be a continuous thing. Yesterday ended last night. Right. If you continue to keep going on with the same old, you're not growing. So somebody got to be the cooler head. Someone has to be. I have this thing that we both can't be angry at the same time, or we can't have the rough day. We both can't have, we had a rough day. Somebody's rough day going to have to take the back burner right now. That's my thing, and that's how I communicate effectively. That's how I do it. So that's my tip, and to me, it works well. And it works well for me, even though people say, well, what if that person don't care about your day and you have this rough day and everything like that? My rough day, that part that happened, it still happened. It still happened. If I'm ready to talk about it, when his day is pretty decent, or he calmed down, or whatever the case may be, then we can discuss that. But we both are not going to be upset at the same time. That's how I deal with that. So it's possible to, even when you guys are butting heads, to say, you know what? Something goofy. I don't know, probably laugh, or, beef hot links or something. That was like a commercial for me that will make me laugh. And I'll think about that. And that would be something funny. But it's possible to do that even when you're upset at each other. Because for 1 minute, take a step back and say, you know what? Why are we really arguing? Why am I being disrespectful? Or why am I being mean this way? Or being mean like this? I mean mean only because I feel that he's being mean to me. What's your part? We can only control our part. We can only control ourselves. So think about it. I go into the communication part with Coach Fatima at the beginning. I couldn't control, and I still can't control how she feels what she said or anything like that, but I was like, I'm gonna give a gift here,
I
I'm gonna
could
do
be
this
rough.
here, I'm gonna do that, anything like that. I'm gonna, gonna feed the bunny a pancake, feed the
There
bunny
you
a
go.
pancake. No.
More like a Wolverine, not Bunny.
So,
But back then,
when it comes to that stuff, eventually, if it's care there, it's gonna come out. It's, everything is
Yeah.
gonna work itself
If we
out.
care
But you
about
gotta be genuine, you gotta
Yeah.
be sincere, and you gotta put that care out there.
I agree with that. But for me, it's the same but slightly different. We can both have a where I'm dealing with somebody like my dad passed away. That was one of the worst days of my life. But we were still in our struggle, but we didn't take it out on each other. So if you're having a bad day together, or you having your separate bad day, or all of us are having a bad day, all three of us, we just can't take it out on each other.
Right.
Because that's usually smoke from another fire. And if it isn't, still, you can't take it out on each other. I mean, we have children and we have stuff to do, like helping people.
Exactly.
One thing I would say, make sure, all right, as the husband or the wives, not during that time of the month.
Yes.
Is that time of the month?
You don't want no smoke.
Fall back,
Yeah.
pause the conversation to see if it's that serious to even be an argument until after that time passes. No matter how they say, well, you just blame it on my period.
Yes. Because that was.
During that time of the month, there's really very little to do with settling down. And if you're a woman and you're arguing all this kind of stuff during that time of the month with him, let him know
Yeah.
so that
take the
you know
L.
you kind of get a pass.
Right.
That doesn't mean intentionally do that, but during that time of the month is not the perfect time
No.
to start implementing these techniques. Okay.
Yeah,
Talk
be a
about-
punk. We're not saying be a punk or like, not be a man, but just be wise about, the argument you're in. Like, I don't know.
No one is
Just be
actually
wise.
fueled by
I'd
hormones,
rethink.
even if you're not a doctor, versus, it's emotions on 10 versus just somebody just being emotional.
Yeah, because the spinning heads and.
And they can be right. They can be right. You can be completely wrong. All right. And so don't try to use the period thing as an excuse. Well, you're on your period, blah, blah, blah. So no, that's not the case.
That'll
But
get
just
you
know that
feelings hurt.
if you're on your period, there may be some communication issues. All right. There's that. That's their asterisk disclaimer with this entire course that we created is, listen, these things may not apply, especially when on.
Yeah, no shade toward us. It's just
Oh.
That's
facts.
real. That's facts. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, and wrap it up. I got this question a few different times, so we need to address it. And that is,
All right.
well, it's good to be pretty quick. A person's asking, how can they get their hands on their communication course, or when it's going to be available and everything else, which is a good question. Well, just to let you know, like we mentioned, we are doing 3 days of filming our Marital Communications Mastery course.
Yes.
We just finished day 2 with this Q&A, and we're broadcasting it live. Everybody actually sit in and watch us do it live and get some behind the scenes access at outstandingpersonrelationships.com/MCM. Tomorrow is the third day 3. Well, what we're doing and what we're going to do for you for being here and for really taking part is we want to get it to you for free. We want you to go ahead and get this course for free, because we're going to sell it for a few $100s after we edit it and everything else within the next month or so. But this is how to get it free. We did a course that goes even a little more in depth across the spectrum of marriage. It's called Navigating Marriage and Polygyny 101. All right, it's about 5.5 to 6 hours of training. There's lots of different worksheets and downloadable audios. There's a private membership area. So it's a 5-week course that we've done. We even included a bonus 6th week. So that is going to be live for those who are watching and following along with us on this daily basis in the creation of this new product. That's going to be available tomorrow. It officially is going to be launched on July 1st, but tomorrow it's going to be available at a discounted rate. So you're going to have to kind of come back here and see what's going on, or you know what, better yet, subscribe to our email list to get on our newsletter, get updated with our emails at outstandingpersonrelationships.com. Whether you get our 5 keys to a fulfilling marriage, or if you look at the Navigating Marriage Minefield videos, just go ahead and opt in to get emails from us, and we'll send you out the information before we go live tomorrow with the link. But we also will send you the special link if you want to grab the Navigating Marriage and Polygyny 101 course, and then get the course that we're creating right now over these 3 days, our Communications Mastery course, free.
Yes.
I think that's pretty dope. Thank you for asking
It's
those questions and participating again. If we
Yes.
didn't get to, we got some questions today. So you can email us again at support@outstandingmuslimparents.com. Please go like our Facebook page. You know, it's a
Yes.
brand new page. You know what I'm saying? So the numbers are low, but the content is high. And so go ahead and like our Facebook page, or you could also, message us or inbox us there. And we do all get the messages right away and get the notifications and the alerts. So again, we appreciate you. Subscribe here on our YouTube channel, for example. Go subscribe, hit the bell button to get notified when we go live. We're going to be doing this a lot more frequently. We're excited about it. We're excited about being at our doing workshop next month, and we'll release those details by email. So yeah, we appreciate you. Thank you very much. Remember, a wish changes nothing, but a decision changes everything. So I'm like, peace.
Assalamu alaikum, peace.
Assalamu alaikum, peace.